Students often think that Part 7 of the C1 Advanced Reading and Use of English paper is the same as Part 6 of the B2 First Reading and Use of English paper. But no, they are very, very different. Let me explain. In Part 6 of the B2 First Reading and Use of English paper, you have a text, but 6 sentences have been removed. Students must read the text and decide which of 7 sentences needs to go in the spaces. So, yeah, you have an extra sentence that you don't need. Part 7 of the C1 Advanced Reading and Use of English paper looks very similar. Except this time, instead of having individual sentences being removed from the text, entire paragraphs have been removed. But this changes everything. And to understand why, we need to understand 2 concepts: cohesion and coherence. Let us start with cohesion, because I bet you don't even know what cohesion is. So ignorant. Wow. No, I'm joking. You're not ignorant. You're really intelligent and wow, I think I love you. Please subscribe and hit like on this video. Bye. Cohesion refers to the way a text is linked together, and this can be through either grammar or vocabulary. Let's look at an example text and we will see together what this looks like.
Smash English is a YouTube channel that exists to help learners pass their Cambridge English exams. Toby, the teacher, is incredibly handsome and students all over the world admire him for being so talented and inspirational. Students, with Toby's help, reach their goals with greater confidence, determined to pass, and thankfully, most of them do.
Wow, that is a marvelous text. Not only is it completely true, but it's also cohesive. Let's take a look together at how cohesion is achieved in this text.
Firstly, let's look at the use of pronouns. We have him, that refers back to Toby. We have their, which is the possessive pronoun referring to the students. And we have them, which also refers back to the students. Secondly, we have something called substitution. An example of this is most of them do. Do refers back to passing their exams, and it only makes sense with reference to the phrases that come before it. Thirdly, we have the use of linking expressions, for example, and. And lastly, we have the use of something called shell nouns. These are nouns that only make sense with reference to the text. For example, their goals. Here, goals refers to passing their exams.
Okay, so now we have seen how cohesion is created in this text through the use of grammar. Now let's take a look at vocabulary.
We have words like pass, exams, students, and teacher, which connect the text to the topic of school. And we have positive words like help, handsome, talented, inspirational, and confidence.
All of these elements, both the vocabulary and the grammar, serve to link this text together, to the extent that one sentence depends on another for its meaning. Now, let's have a look at coherence. Now, I'm sure you guys know what coherence is because you guys are geniuses. You're definitely not ignorant. You're also really attractive, and I think I love you. Coherence is the degree to which a text makes logical sense. Let me show you an example of a text that is incoherent.
I stepped in chairs, and they brushed my pigeon that slept under the dust.
This text makes absolutely no sense. It's gobbledygook. I have no idea what is going on from reading it. However, in spite of the fact that the text is not coherent, it is cohesive.
They refers back to chairs, and that refers back to my pigeon. My refers back to I, and we have a linking expression.
The point is that a text can be cohesive without being coherent. And this brings me back to part 7 of the C1 Advanced Reading and Use of English paper. In order to complete part 6 of the B2 First Reading and Use of English paper, students can often do really well by only focusing on cohesion. Let me give you an example to show you what I mean.
Here we have a text. Don't worry about what the text is about. Just try to choose the correct sentence to go in the space. Give yourselves about 30 seconds to do this. The answer was B. The answer could not have been C. This is because C contains he, and there is no singular man for he to refer back to. The answer could not have been A, as we have no idea what here could refer back to. The answer must be B, as these refers back to communication methods.
Basically, a lot of the spaces in part 6 of the B2 First Reading and Use of English paper can be completed without a general understanding of the text. You don't have to read the entire text. You can just read around the space and check for grammatical cohesion. However, for part 7 of the C1 Advanced Reading and Use of English paper, you cannot get by on cohesion alone. You also need to focus on coherence. Let me show you an example. I'll show you a little bit of text before and after the space, and I will give you 2 paragraphs to choose from to simplify the situation slightly. Have a look at this.
So here is our text, and you can see there is a space where we need to insert a missing paragraph. Here are our 2 paragraphs, A and B. Give yourselves about a minute to try to understand which paragraph to place in the space. Pause the video here.
So, what answer did you choose? A or B?
Could our answer be A? Well, we have the pronoun it. Can you find anything that it may refer back to in the previous sentence? Well, no, I can't, but does that mean that this answer is impossible? Not quite. We can sometimes use a pronoun to refer to something that follows in a text. This is known as a cataphoric reference. For example, it was going to be hard, but Sarah convinced herself it was the right thing to do. She picked up the phone, about to tell Jacob that she had fallen in love. This creates a sense of suspense and is actually a common literary device. So we cannot eliminate A yet, because maybe something else happens in the text that it could refer to. Let's look at the sentence that comes after our space. The writer says, "I have to admit that it probably is." What could this refer to? Well, it could refer to Macquarie, and probably is could be agreeing with the Captain Douglas's assertion that Macquarie is the most wretched place.
So, in terms of grammatical cohesion, paragraph A fits perfectly fine. But what about in terms of coherence? Does it work? Well, no, it doesn't. And that's for one very simple reason.
Paragraph A refers to intense winds raging outside. This suggests that the writer is inside. Yet after our space, the writer states, later inside a cozy hut, which suggests a transition from being outside to being inside.
It is due to this that we can eliminate paragraph A. It has nothing to do with cohesion because this paragraph is actually perfectly cohesive, but it's not coherent. Let's have a look now at paragraph B.
In terms of grammatical cohesion, they, in paragraph B, must refer to the beasts. And I have to admit that it probably is, refers back to the question, is this what I sailed to the bottom of the world for? but it is coherence that truly helps us understand. Our first sentence, squinting painfully through torchlight, I've little hope of seeing the beasts, suggests that the writer is walking in the dark. Paragraph B seems to be describing walking outside in freezing cold temperatures along rocks. The writer is trying to avoid standing on little beasts and can do so by hearing their barks. Later, the writer ends up in a cozy hut, and we learn that he is in the Antarctic.
So then, what point is Toby trying to make with this video? Well, students doing part 6 of the B2 First Reading and Use of English paper can often do very well in this part of the exam without reading the entire text, without focusing on coherence, and instead only focusing on grammatical cohesion. In fact, 9 times out of 10, you can quickly scan the surrounding text, look for pronouns and linking expressions, and, well, you'll probably be okay. But you absolutely cannot do this during the C1 Advanced exam. As we have seen, a text can be cohesive without being coherent. And in part 7 of the C1 Advanced Reading and Use of English paper, you need to make sure that your choices are both cohesive and coherent. And you can only do this by understanding the entire text, making sure that the paragraphs you insert into the text are logical and coherent with the progression of the ideas presented. Remember then that even though part 6 of the B2 First Reading and Use of English paper and part 7 of the C1 Advanced Reading and Use of English paper look similar, they're not. They're asking you to do 2 very, very different things. And with that, we are finished. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below. My name is Toby, and this was Smash English.